Okay, let's talk about one of the simplest but most powerful techniques for absolutely crushing procrastination. It's called the 1-minute catalyst. And trust me, it has the power to completely change how you get stuff done.
You know this feeling, right? We've all been there. You're just staring at a task, that big report, going to the gym, or even just cleaning the kitchen, and you just can't make yourself start. You say to yourself, I'll do it when I feel motivated. But that magical wave of inspiration? Yeah, it rarely shows up when you want it to.
But here's a thought. What if that whole approach, waiting for the feeling to show up first, is the very thing that's keeping you stuck? What if the secret to getting motivated isn't about waiting for it at all, but about creating it?
This brings us to a huge misunderstanding a lot of us have about productivity. We're going to call it the motivation myth, and it's like this invisible barrier that just gets in our way over and over again.
So here's the trap. It's this idea that we need to feel ready or inspired before we can take action. But that creates a crazy paradox, doesn't it? We get stuck waiting for a feeling that can only be generated by the very action we're trying to avoid. It's a total catch-22. So how do we get out of this loop? We flip the switch. It's a really simple but profound shift in your thinking, moving away from the myth and into the reality of how motivation actually works. The myth we've all been taught is that motivation leads to action. But the reality is the exact opposite. Action is a spark that lights the fire of motivation. You don't wait for the feeling, you have to act your way into it.
And this is where we get practical. This is where we introduce the 1-minute catalyst. Think of it as your secret weapon. It's the tool that helps you unlock action anytime you feel stuck.
1. That's it. 1 minute. The real beauty of this technique is just how simple it is. It's so small, so non-threatening, that your brain doesn't even have a chance to put up all of its usual resistance and excuses. I mean, come on, anyone can do something for just 60 seconds.
And the technique itself is as simple as it sounds. First, just pick the task you've been avoiding. Second, set a timer for 1 minute. And third, now this is the most important part, you only have to work on it for that 1 minute. When the timer goes off, you are completely free to stop. No strings attached. Seriously.
Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds way too simple to actually work. But there's some really powerful psychology going on under the hood. So let's dig into the science of the start and see why this tiny little action has such a massive impact.
You see, the goal of that first minute isn't to make a huge dent in your project. The goal is simply to turn the engine on. You're just using a tiny bit of action to kickstart that momentum and prove to your brain that, hey, starting isn't so scary after all. Because think about it. When that 1-minute timer dings, you haven't just worked on a task, you have finished a task. Your goal was to work for 1 minute, and you did it. You accomplished it. That small feeling of completion is the real fuel. It's that little burst of dopamine that gives you the energy to keep going.
All right, so let's bring this all home. How can you use this right now, today? This isn't just some abstract theory. This is your new first step for tackling any task that feels overwhelming.
So let's quickly recap the key takeaways. First, and most importantly, stop waiting for motivation. It's not coming to save you. Second, remember the new rule. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Third, when you're stuck, use the 1-minute catalyst. Just start. And finally, use that awesome little feeling of finishing that tiny task to fuel whatever comes next.
So I'll just leave you with this one question. That thing on your to-do list, you know the one that's been staring at you for days, forget about finishing it. Don't even think about it. Just ask yourself, what will you start for just 1 minute today?